Welcome to Deeply Unscripted. I'm your host, Clarissa Medina, a cognitive behavioral practitioner helping people break free from limiting beliefs through rewiring thought patterns. By using these methods, I facilitate an individual stepping into true transformation. Another excellent way to spark transformation and personal growth is through authentic conversations that challenge us to upgrade our thinking and perspectives. Here on the podcast, we explore profound subject matter and make room for a diversity of viewpoints. In doing so, we create a community that honors everyone right where they are in their own compelling story. I'm sitting down today with Mary Gulley, a personal friend of mine, a dedicated healthcare professional, a psychology student, and a newly ordained minister. With her unique blend of faith, psychology, and hands on experience in healthcare, she brings a powerful perspective on healing both spiritually and mentally. We'll explore her journey, her insights on faith and psychology, and how she's using her calling to help others find wholeness. You won't want to miss this deep and inspiring conversation. Mary, your journey has been unique, working in healthcare, pursuing a degree in psychology, and now stepping into ordination. What has drawn you to each of these callings, and how do you see them weaving together in your life's purpose? And I just realized I didn't give you a moment to introduce yourself. So please introduce yourself, and then you can go into answering the question.
Hello, I am Minister Mary Gulley. I am so happy to be here. I want to thank you for inviting me. This is an awesome opportunity. Hey, I am so ready for this. I'm ready to tell you about how my journey has just empowered me, number one, and always brought me back to the Lord every step of the way. So, are you ready to jump right in?
I'm ready. I'm ready to jump right in.
All right. I think I will start with healthcare. Healthcare was something that piqued my interest in my early 20s. I was a young mother. I had just moved to Oklahoma. I was staying with my mother-in-law because we had just moved here. I went to work with her one day and she said, I need to go draw some blood. And I said, can I go? And sure. We walked back to a patient's room and I watched her draw the blood and I was fascinated. This is the best thing ever. How do you do that? Where did you learn how to do that? How long have you? I was enamored with the process. I asked her, I said, what is it that you do that allows you to be able to get the vein? She said, oh, I'm a medical assistant. You get trained how to do this. She said, but if you don't want to do the whole process, you can just purely do me, which is just drawing blood. I said, okay, I want to do that. How can I proceed? And I went to school and got my associate's degree in healthcare administration, and I became a medical assistant. I have enjoyed it immensely, taking care of others, watching their healthcare journey, no matter where I meet them in the process, drawing their blood. I usually get to see from when they come in with an issue to going through the process of, okay, we're in the diagnostic stage. So we are looking at, is it there? We're testing. Then if something comes back, following up on the blood work. Hey, we need to do more blood work to check this. And then sometimes even getting to see, hey, this is my last time I need to be drawn for this. I'm doing well. You may not see me for 6 months to a year until my regular checkups. It's amazing to be in healthcare. I've done this for 16 years now. Okay. I found that in healthcare, Christ all throughout it. All throughout it. The way he cares for us is how we care for others. We heal. We help. When people sit in my chair to get their blood drawn, they don't even ever know, but I'm praying for them. So it has been an immense journey of peace, patience, learning compassion and understanding for others in their journey. When people are sick and they're coming into the doctor's office, they don't feel well. Sometimes that comes out in their demeanor. and they may be grumpy because they don't feel well. They've been feeling unwell for so long that they're like, there's no end in sight for me.
It's becoming
Oh.
normal.
It's helpful to remember that every patient that sits in my chair is a child of God. I can draw their blood and talk to them about their life, their kids, what's going on, outside of just focusing on what's wrong. It helps because I get to share Christ with them. I get to pray for them, and they never even know. It's been a beautiful journey. As far as psychology goes, oh man, my childhood has steered me in that direction. Growing up, I had a not so easy childhood. There was a lot of transition. There were times of unsurety, sadness, frustration, wondering. What piqued my curiosity was seeing children, 5, 6 different children, all had the same parentage. Each had their own personality, their own distinct way of seeing the world, though they were all raised under the same Christian background. How they all branched out. It's amazing when you can see the trends in people's lives and begin to understand why they do what they do. And then help people discover themselves along the way. It's all about discovery and learning. Nobody has it all together. I don't care what they say. Nobody has it all together. We are all at some stage in our life, healing from something, learning something, trying to lay down something. Psychology has been my grasp on understanding myself, my mindsets, my emotions, who I am, who Christ created me to be. In discovering all of that, it will naturally lead you to look at who is this person that Christ created? In that journey, I started questioning, how do I know what I know? Little did I know that was the prophetic side of me opening up. I started knowing things like, I feel like I know this about that person, but I don't know how I know it. Or I would be in a conversation telling someone, I just really perceive this. And they would say, I haven't said anything. How do you know that? That was the beginning of my ministerial journey, finding out, why am I weird? Why am I different from other people in the aspect of I see more than what's there? My curiosity about what was happening to me was a continual dive into, why do I know this? God gave me this gift. What can I do with it? What was it used for in the Bible? What is it used for today? How do I know I'm hearing from God? All of these different questions, like I said, God always leads you back to Him. He's never going to give you anything that you can do separate and outside of Him. Everything we do, He's come to me. I gave you the skill. I gave you the mindset. I gave you the ability. So come to the person who created you, because I'm going to be the best one to help you. It has been a continual journey, and it's been so beautiful. There's been frustrations. As with anything, it's been wonderful.
Before we get into the ordination piece, I was going to make a couple of comments. As you have been working in phlebotomy, you're on a journey with these people, because even their healthcare story is a journey. There's a lot of different healthcare systems out there to choose from. There's allopathy, homeopathy, naturopathy, whatever choice they're making to come in to where you are and have their blood drawn. Like you said, sometimes it's a series. They're having levels checked for different things. I don't know all the health speak terminology, but I know that levels get checked. So you are on a journey with these people, and that does give you more than just a one-shot opportunity. Even if you had a one-shot opportunity, I hear you say that you're praying for them and you're declaring over them. Even that healthcare is a journey. So you get to walk with these people. Even if it's a tiny snapshot, you're getting to walk with these people for a bit, just for a small chunk of their story. I don't think we understand the power that we have, even if we're just walking in that little sliver of time with somebody like you're doing. It's beautiful that you recognize that, and you recognize that even in this minute, I'm powerful in this moment in your life, and you may not even know.
Right. What's so interesting about seeing them in that part of their journey is you're often seeing them at their worst. You have to remember, it keeps me in a constant place of prayer, of humility, because I have to constantly remember, no matter how I'm treated, this could be their lowest point of their life. What would you want at your lowest point? You would want compassion. You would want understanding. You would want someone not to judge you by your behavior in that moment. It keeps you constantly saying, okay, I know they were a little rude. I know they were a little frustrated. I know they didn't talk very much. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It really helps to remember this is usually the first time for somebody. If we can remember that, a lot of times in different aspects of life, we forget that for us, we've done something for so long. I can do this. Da, 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 this is process. Da, da, da. For the other party, it's their first time.
Right.
Remembering that makes you back up and say, let me make sure you understand what we're about to do,
Yeah.
how this is going to go.
Yeah.
It keeps you constantly in a state of introspection.
Yes.
In 16 years, I've never gotten tired of it.
That's awesome. Would you say you didn't have a career before that? Was there nothing that you'd really found that you had that passion for, that you really loved?
No,
Okay.
not really. I was in the military before I moved to Oklahoma. Once I moved here, medical assisting was the first thing that I really stuck with
Nice.
in my career.
The other thing I was going to comment on, I read something one time about parenting. I'm the oldest of 5 girls. I have heard many times that all of you have been raised by the same people,
Mm-hmm.
which in my case, we weren't, because I have some on my mom's side and I have some on my father's side.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting comment that I read is that no two people, even if they have the same natural biological mother and father, no two people are actually raised by the same parents. And here's why. Because by the time the parents have the second child, no matter what age the first one is, 1 year old, 5, 10, those same two parents have also gained 5 years worth of experience, 5
Right.
worth of wisdom. I read that and it really brought a level of freedom to me because
Mm-hmm.
and you know this, my 2 boys are very different.
Yes.
Sometimes it makes you as a parent question when you see one behaving in a way that is out of character, or you have one that is very different from another one. It causes you to question, what have I done?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It gave me a level of freedom. I have grown too. I have grown the same number of years they have grown.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm different. I'm a different mom now. I can't look at myself and say, oh, I'm the same old person that raised my oldest. So what's the matter with you? Why can't you get in line? Because I'm not. I'm just throwing that out there. I thought it was interesting. I think about that now when I hear people talk about parenting and just different personalities of kids.
Yeah.
What I hear you saying is the prophetic started really with psychology for you, that as you were gaining an education in psychology, this prophetic gift kind of opened up for you. Is that correct?
Somewhat. I started probably 7 years ago. I started the unwinding of religious beliefs, the religious mindset, rules and restrictions, and you can't. In that process, I started to have an understanding the Bible is bigger than rules. Once that started to break off of me, that's really where it started, because that's what made me question, like, if I've grown up my whole life knowing this, believing this, thinking this, then what else is different? What else is new? What else can I let go of? And thinking about specific to religion, there's so many different denominations, so many views, so many different ways you could go. My first initial question was, who's right? Who's going to heaven? Who's going to hell? What's happening?
Raptured? Who's going through tribulation?
And so I started to question what I was hearing on Sundays. I would go home and I would read and I'd pray. I was raised very structured religiously. No pants, no makeup, no earrings, no jewelry outside of when you get married, you can wear a watch and a wedding ring. No revealing clothing, no open-toed shoes at church.
My shoulder. I got my shoulder gone.
Being raised under that, when you get on your own 2 feet and you have friends from different walks of life,
Oh, yeah.
it really hinders you ministering because you don't have a basis for common ground to say, hey, you're like me. Because if you're wearing derogatory stuff on your shirt, it makes you very judgmental.
Yes.
It's one thing to dish out judgment, but it's another thing to receive it. When I was on the receiving end of it, I was like, oh, no, this ain't cool. How you judge me? I've done everything right. I'm not out here doing what you're doing. Over the process of listening to pastors, I'm telling you, my life was divinely ordained because my pastors that I've had, I got saved at the age of 9. Okay. Went down to the altar, said, Jesus, I want you in my heart. And little did I know what that would start. But it gave me a dogged determination, a stick-to-itiveness, if you will. No matter what I was going through, it was always, God, I know it has to be better than this. This cannot be it. When I came into the knowledge of grace and being under grace teaching and understanding that God is not mad at me, God is not about rules and restriction, and there's only certain things that you can do with your life, and He's only ordained one thing for you. When the blinders started falling up, it was almost terrifying. You can feel a little unstable.
Yes.
You can feel like, okay, so what's real? What's not? Can I do this? Can I do that? I don't want to go too far and then wind up in hell. During that process of questioning myself, questioning what other people were doing, I call my thought process of reconciliation.
Mhm.
I had to reconcile because I realized with my prophetic journey, the first thing that would happen when God was trying to give me revelation is I would get angry. I would hear something that was opening me up to a new portion of where God was trying to take me, and it would immediately make me angry. I would be so mad. That's not true. How are you going to say that? Because the Bible says, and in me being in my anger, I would pray. And that sounds crazy. Like, you got to check yourself when you come to God. Like, you can't just come to Him any kind of way. For a while there, I would be so mad. God, these people going to hell. They taking it too far. They have lost their mind. They're saying that you don't care if we wear pants. The Bible says you cannot wear anything that pertains to a man. What are they talking about? I would be praying these prayers, and then God would start to talk to me. It got to a process where I was like, I'm about to test it. I went to the store one day, and I bought me a pair of pants. And I said, God, if I'm going to hell, you better take me right now. And I was bold. You hear me? I was like, you better take me right now because I just put on some pants. And lo and behold, nothing happened. I don't even feel convicted. So either I got a reprobate mind or God is trying to tell me, no, I'm not mad at you wearing pants. It was moments like that that I was like, am I hearing you right? Is this you? And lo and behold, He would send someone to confirm His word. And in that confirmation, I would get a little bolder. Maybe grace is not just for those that have done bad things. Understanding that God wants to use me in the world and not just in one specific area. My job is not to save people.
Amen.
That was a huge one. I felt like you have to get out here and you have to minister and you have to save these souls. and they need to stay with the straight and narrow once they're saved. You better tell them that if they don't do this and they don't stop that drinking and stop that smoking, that they're going to hell. And lo and behold, the grace of God, let me tell you, the more I preached at somebody about what they weren't supposed to be doing, the more I felt the unction to do exactly what they were doing. And it is a journey of self-forgiveness, because you're like, God, I did exactly what they did. And I told them they was going to hell. You going to get me too? Am I going to hell? Learning that once he died on the cross and forgave you, you don't need to come and beg every single time you do something. That was huge for me, because I was in a continual process. When you make a mistake, when you do something wrong, God leaves you. You got to pray, you got to repent,
You got to get him back.
That means I can't pray. When I get in the situation, I can't pray because he's not there. I begin to say, that don't make no sense. I started to question everything.
Yeah.
And hearing him talk to me and feeling the confirmation of, I still love you, it broke me down. I would have nights where I would just cry, read the word and cry. I'm sorry I made you out to be this evil God that wants to continually throw us in hell. That's where it started, was hearing him and being like, did I hear you? Is that you? Or is that me? Am I crazy? Because I could have just swore I heard you tell me something. I got bolder to ask questions like, if I can wear pants, can I wear makeup? If I can wear makeup, can I have a boyfriend? Now, mind you, this process of me asking him these questions was contradictory to the way I was raised. I had already had a child. I had been married. He never once made me feel bad about myself, bad about my journey, where I was, what I was unlearning. I began to look at people around me. They have wisdom. They have understanding. And they're wearing tight pants. God's using them. They'd be usable too. He might just really love me.
He might pull me off the chopping block.
I might be loved, Lord. It was those quiet conversations with God that hearing him say, I love you, over and over and over. When you realize the depth of his love, it draws you back. What else can I ask you? You're not going to be mad if I say this, are you? I just taught Bible study this past Monday night, and I was telling them, God sees everything that you think. Everything. As believers, we think in our mind, we have closeted places that when we think it, because we're not bringing it in our prayer life, that he don't see it. We think stuff, we have emotion, we have all of these things that we're like, I can't come to God like that, so I'm not going to say nothing else.
We try to get ourselves together as if when we sit down to pray, he's not going to be like, I just saw that.
I said, Lord, we are bipolar people sometimes.
We are some funny people.
We could be polar opposites within ourselves.
I just want to note for the record, Mary Gulley threw down the term reprobate mind. I have not heard that term in so long.
Oh, man. Let me tell you. And that was my number one fear. I can't ask this. I can't question him. I can't say, is he real? Does he love me? Is he good? I can't question him at all, because then I'm going to get a reprobate mind.
He's going to give me over to my reprobate mind.
Talk about living in fear.
Oh, my gosh. That's a hamster wheel right there.
It is.
The constant worry. What did I do? Am I going to do anything today?
It's a learning process.
So you enrolled in college
Mm-hmm.
as a psychology major. Mm-hmm. And how far through that are you?
I am over a year in. I started in July 2023, and I will graduate in April 2026. It's been a year and some change.
You said that being a medical assistant, you hadn't found anything that really lit that passion inside of you. Do you feel that way about psychology? Do you feel like you found your second career love?
Yes. It all coincides together in learning about the physical body, how your heart works, how your lungs work, how they work together to pump the blood throughout your body. When you're coming over to psychology, it's learning how your thought process affects your body, how your thought process, your emotion, your worldview affects the things that you do that wind you up at the doctor. It all goes hand in hand. We like to make things separate and distinct. And yes, they are. However, there are common correlations with the mind and body at every point. From looking at, just say, depression, nobody experiences the depression the exact same way. There are symptoms that are common. However, you may have one depressed person still goes to the gym. You may have one that completely shuts themselves off and is a hermit and doesn't want to come out of their house. You have some that compensate for their emotional with drug abuse, alcohol, binge eating, binge drinking, partying, different things that you would have never known. Depression can be masked. Ask me how I know. I did it for years.
Yeah.
In your physical body, you have all sorts of chemicals, hormones,
Neurotransmitters.
natural body processes that are supposed to be taking place. If something gets out of whack, you go to the doctor. If you have a mental issue, an emotional issue, what is that type of doctor for you? Yes, you can go to your PCP. Yes, they can prescribe medications, but that's not where it stops, because that's not where it starts. So in psychology, looking at the reflection of the mind on the body and how it affects your journey, looking at how the mind is the first place where everything takes place.
For sure.
You started in your mind saying, I feel like I'm going to cry. Then the tears come down your face. You experience an emotion because you thought, oh, I feel shame. You felt it. And the thoughts that came to your head made you cry. Your mind is starting a physical reaction in your body.
Yes.
In looking at that and learning if my mind can get me to this low state, my mind can help me get up from it as well. If I shift my thinking,
It's good.
if I learn a new way to think about how I'm thinking and what I'm thinking about. Today, we have very narrow-minded views. We can become very defensive when we are in places with other people that don't believe the same as us.
For sure.
Knowing, why am I defensive about that? Where did I learn it? Who taught it to me?
What are your biases?
Some people don't even know their biases.
That's right.
Learned. They're from childhood. You pick up a gauntlet that your granny threw down.
That's right.
And you out here just swinging, knocking people down. You don't even realize, do I really like that? Or do I really believe that? Do I really think that way? No, but because granny said so, don't question it. When you get to a point where you're tired of living like this, I'm tired of it, you will naturally be drawn to, well, why do I do that? Where does that come from? When did I start doing it? Has it helped me? Has it not helped me? When you start to ask questions like that of yourself, your psychological mind, your introspective self, your emotional self, they will begin to unravel things for you. I thought I was over that, but it still bothers me.
One of the core things about cognitive behavioral therapy is the 5 experiential dimensions. Basically, we experience life through 5 different dimensions, and that is the physical, emotional, rational, volitional, and then it goes all the way up to spiritual. And
Mhm.
every one of those affects the physical body. You'll have this manifestation through depressed living of a physical manifestation, a physical illness. What you're saying is 100% spot on. And unfortunately, a doctor will be more than happy to give you anxiety medicine or depression, but it doesn't fix the core issue.
Right,
It will get rid of some symptoms,
right.
but it's like putting a Band-Aid on an infection. That infection is gonna continue to fester, and you're not dealing with what the core issue is, because we are all spiritual at our core.
One thing that I've learned is that when we see people with issues, alcoholism, drug addiction, whatever it may be, the thing that they are dealing with is not the problem. That is their chosen coping mechanism
Right.
for the problem. When we are thinking about, hey, why do I do what I do? You have to, number one, give yourself grace and say, everybody deals with something. Everybody, whether it's seen or unseen. No matter where you start, it's fixable. There is something you can do. Nobody is a lost cause. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what people have said. Nobody is a lost cause.
That's good.
There's always some way you can change your thinking. You can think about yourself better. You can learn to love yourself better. And learning to love yourself better, guess what? You're going to learn to love other people.
That's right.
You're going to extend what has been extended to you.
That's right.
The mind, it starts in one place, but it's a continual journey. I don't think anybody who has ever really started on a journey of self-healing and self-discovery ever really finishes.
Well, you even said earlier that nobody has it all together. As soon as we figure out that's not even the goal. We are on a journey.
Epitomize certain things like money, wealth, fame. When I get the
Yes.
job, when I get the house, when I get the car, when I get the girl or the husband, when I get this amount in my savings.
But when is enough? That's the problem. There's no answer for that. When is enough money enough? When is enough status enough?
No matter what you believe that you are projecting, people are going to see you from their view of your world, of who they perceive you to be. We often say, I think, and really what we're saying is, I believe.
Right.
And sometimes when we say, I think, we're saying, I know.
Yeah.
And it's so frequent that I hear people say, I think this, I think that. And when you take a step back, take it out of the thinking realm, because oftentimes we say we're thinking and we're not thinking. We have a thought and then we base an opinion on that thought. We think that's thinking. That's not thinking. You hear people frequently say, I think this. And when you come around to questioning, why do you think that? You will get anger. You will get pushback. You will get, if you don't think the way that I think, I don't think we need to talk anymore. We don't be friends, or you're one of those. They box themselves in with their own, I think. If I could give one thing to the world, it would be understanding. I would give understanding. Simply because when we say, I think, you have to wait and listen for somebody else's I think, and not allow yourself to feel threatened because their I think is different.
Different.
Oftentimes we rush and we're like, if you don't believe like I believe, then are you saying that I'm wrong? That's immediately where we go.
It's the
Am I
assumption.
wrong or am I right? Am I good or am I bad?
That's what it boils down to, because if I'm wrong, I'm bad.
If we would apply understanding when we come to conversations with other people, we would get a lot farther and
Without-
realize
It's a-
they do have a point. It's a fear. What it boils down to is once you realize that their thought does hold some validity, and not only does it hold validity, it makes me question my own. You begin to unravel. That feeling stirs up emotions of fear, of anger, but we don't give ourselves understanding, let alone can we extend it to somebody else.
When you don't know yourself, you don't even know why you made the decisions that you made. You don't know how to stop making those decisions. You don't know how to undo the consequences from the
Right.
decisions that you made when you didn't know what you were doing. And most people just don't know how to get off of that treadmill of improper cognitions.
When we sit down with other people and we're talking to them, we have to remember we don't know where we're coming in their stage of understanding of themselves. Often people find it so hard to agree to disagree. How can two walk together unless they agree?
Mhm.
Even if that agreement is saying, I agree to disagree with you,
Sure.
let's keep going.
I agree that you can have your own opinion about this. I
I
agree that you can have your own experience. What do you see yourself doing with psychology? Are you still fleshing that out?
I know I want to do individual counseling. I like relationship counseling. I like group counseling.
I do too.
Those are my 3 right now.
We haven't got to really talk about your ordination. Are you planning on leaving healthcare at some point?
I'll still be in healthcare, just a different I
Yes.
won't be clinical in that aspect.
Well, but
I plan to go all the way up and get my doctorate. So eventually I will be doctor.
Dr. Mary Gulley, you heard it here first, folks. Where do you see your ordination fitting into this grand picture that you're weaving together?
That is so interesting that you would ask me that because I prayed years ago, Lord, I want church and psychology to come together. I want people to be able to go to their church and say, I need to see Dr. Gulley. I want to have therapy. And it be literal therapy, but at or on a church ground where people can come and get therapy and know that it's okay. God's not mad at you for needing to talk about it. And you don't always need to only talk about it with him. You need a human person that can say, I experienced that too. It makes you feel included. It makes you feel not alone. It makes you know I'm not the only one dealing with this, and I'm not the only one that's thought this, felt this, been at this point.
I've said before, most everybody is going to hit a place in life at some point where they just need somebody to walk with them through a
Mhm.
thing.
Yes.
And whether that is to speak truth into them,
Mhm.
pray with them, lay hands on
Right.
them,
Right.
all the above.
When these people come to therapy, I can ask them, do you want prayer to be a part of your journey? If so, here's another thing that I do. I do coaching. I am a prophet. It can be as much or as little as you want it to be. If you just want to talk therapy, you don't want to pray, you don't want to talk about the Lord, cool. If you want to talk and pray, that's fine. If you want to talk and pray and see if the Lord has a word for you, that's fine too.
It's a collaborative process, and pulling them into their own process rather than I'm the person with all the answers and you just sit there and you let me tell you what's wrong with you. You're pulling
Right.
them in and you're tailoring it. And I know that is a word that gets overused. It's tailor-made to the client, but you're actually asking them, how can I best walk with you through this? Is that through talk therapy? Is
Right.
that through prayer and intercession? You're actually bringing them into their own transformative process where they get to say how you can best work with them. How do I learn best? How do I hear best?
Mm.
And when somebody is taking that into consideration, then that means I'm not just a passive listener.
Right.
I'm part of it. I have something to do with my own healing and with my own transformation. That's personally where I would like to see mental health move into is instead of just talking at the person
Right.
and expecting them to pick up these tools that it's good stuff. The tools are great,
Right.
but let me bring you into your own healing process because you have a part to play here. That to me is how it gets tailored to that person. It's not just me looking at a score on an assessment. It's you telling me how you need me to show up for you in this moment.
What we're doing is we are helping them heal themselves.
Yeah.
And I know that's spiritual hot water.
We're designed to do that.
Exactly. We're making you aware of the things that are there so that you can address them. If you need to sit with yourself, sit with God, we're bringing it up so that it can be dealt with. That's 99% of the journey. We are so unaware of where it came from, how it got there, how long it's been there, how many ways we played it out in our lives. That's what therapy is. Let's dig deeper. How long have you felt this way? Did you feel this way in this relationship? Did you feel that way? It's about bringing awareness and not just being the victim of your own life story.
Right.
It's helping them put the puzzle pieces of why I do what I do, how I do what I do, put it together, make a picture, and say, I still love me. I'm still worthy of love. I'm still worthy of being accepted. I'm still valuable to the world,
For sure.
but first to myself. It's so beautiful when somebody can have that aha moment. I see how that affected me. It's priceless.
It is priceless. We got to do a part 2.
I know.
We didn't get to talk enough about ministry,
I know.
about Minister Mary Gulley. So we have to do a part 2. I want to ask about this. I want to ask about this. I want to ask about this. And I want people to hear
Feel
it.
free.
Look, we're just speaking well of the Lord. I want to thank Mary for coming on the show tonight. There will be a part 2. We're going to work that out because I didn't even get to talk to her about ministry and about her ordination and how that fits into all of this. I really want to continue that conversation. I hope you enjoyed this part 1, this first half. I hope you heard something tonight that brought a bit of freedom into your life and that you heard some insights that helped you with something that you're dealing with even right now. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you. Good night.